What's up, folks? This is Jasper Fox making yet another YouTube video. This shall be my first video that is like a chain, and not a gameplay. This is about writing. Now, this is mostly focusing on writing stories, and I'm going to delve into some things from personal experience. I am currently working on becoming a writer, and I may delve into some things that are just facts from other people. Who knows? Here's what, this is just mostly about making a good story. And being a writer, it's really hard to do that. It's hard to make the perfect story. Because it takes multiple years, a lot of time, efforts, a lot of things to go together. And, throughout my time writing, I learned that there's more to it than just simple, go out there, try and get this together, make it work, and then publish it. No. There's more to it than that. It doesn't just take basic things. I mean, there's a lot of things that people don't think about when it comes to this, when it comes to writing. One of those things is just some qualities that are needed. Some factors to place in there to think about when you're writing that story. And, it's one of the reasons why some stories aren't published until many years later. It's why they aren't known until further on than they want it to be. And, I've done this with reading other stories. Basically, what I learned is that there are just a few factors that no one thinks about when you want to write a story. They do think about it, but it's not commonplace. I'm going to talk about a few of them, maybe one per video, who knows. This first one I'll speak about is the basis, or rather, or rather the source, where the idea came from. Now, some people don't think about this because they want to be original, and nowadays originality is dead, practically. I mean, tell me one thing made in the modern time that has not been, that is currently shown in media or in books, that hasn't been mixed, hasn't mixed in certain things from other movies. Think about this. George Lucas from Star Wars, apparently, I learned something in another YouTube video, apparently he used different scenes from other movies, and he blended them into that movie. He blended them into that one. Just modern, just made it futuristic, sci-fi, sci-fi'd up. Anyways, originality is not something that's going to be easy. So, when you're writing a story, you want to know what kind of story you want to write. Of course, the genre. But, there's another thing. You also need to know... sometimes you need a source on what that story is supposed to be. Where the idea came from. I have multiple sources of... I have many things that I base my stories off of. And, it's hard... there's so many things. It comes from... they can come from different things I've seen, books I've read, or maybe just even basic things I've done. Chatting online, walking around, and, suddenly I just get the idea. Even listening to music anywhere, I just get the idea of my story. I just get an idea, and then I start thinking about what I could do with it. And, it carries on. It branches out. And I'm certain that modern writers think that way too. I mean, think back to when genres were really popular, when originality was still alive, and it was still something. Excuse me. There's a lot of writers that, before Shakespeare's time, we only knew those people who wrote historical things, based on their like there's Greek mythology, Roman mythology, things like that, and then we have Shakespeare, the most popular man known for never plays. He wrote tragedies, comedies, and he was a very popular guy. He invented a whole new language, practically, a whole new way of speaking, how we think that people spoke in that time. And that's interesting to me, because back in Shakespeare's time, originality was still something that was easy to do. If someone didn't come up with this idea, then there was your chance to do something about it. Nowadays, there's just so many stories out there, so many movies, so many books. It's hard to be original. Like, there's not a lot that can just appear out of someone's head from just their own mind without seeing something else. So now, a story, like a basis for where the story came from, is good. And it's nothing to be ashamed about. I use it all the time. And when you have that basis, it's just a little platform where you want your story to start off. It's sorry. It's like it helps you get a certain direction to where you want your story to go. Like, say you want this kind of story, and you want to start here. Step 1. And you go from that step onward to the other things. And this goes on, and that thing goes to another. And then there's a whole nother, and so on and so forth. And for some people it's easy. Like, they just have the thing and they get the idea instantly. But for other people it's hard because they need to find the perfect story. Now, there are genres that people can write easily, like tragedies, comedies, dramas, action, adventure, fantasy, sci-fi, so on. And, that's easy to do. But it's, like, for some people it's easier to write this certain genre because that's their mindset, or that's what they want to do. That's just the way they see things, or something like that. I don't know, I'm not the person. And there are some cases where it's hard. But usually, the genre and finding the basis, it's harder when it's not fact. Like when the story is just fiction. When it is facts, it's much easier. You just have to look it up, get all the accurate information, then put it together, put in some flowery words, and that's it. At least that's how it looks like it. Now, for some things that are fiction, they have to they have to find a way to make the story as original or as creative as they can without running into any issues. Like copyright infringement, plagiarism, sorts of stuff like that. And, keep in mind, there's a lot of things that connect to other stories. Like, when I was bored, and that happens to me a lot, I searched up the Sonic series. Sonic the Hedgehog. And when I searched that, I noticed that Sonic actually blended, like some of the Sonic characters actually blended with some other things. And there were a lot of comparisons. And that's put into the trivia notes. And that's interesting. That makes me, it makes it look like they did do this kind of thing, but they also paid to use it. Because originality is fading. This is probably, say, this is a graph, a pie graph. Things that are original versus things that are remake. This is probably the accurate description of originality. Right here, this little sliver that it's pointing at, that's probably the original things. Everything else is just a remix, as we've noticed. And, so, again, that's not something to be ashamed of. I do it all the time. I'm sure there are other writers that do it too, but they have to be creative, they have to mix it up, they have to make sure that it doesn't look like they're ripping this idea off from somewhere else, or they have the sources, or they're connected to the company, so they can do that. And, once you have that, that can be step 1 for me. That's my learning process, you move on to step 2, which shall be mentioned in the next video. And oops. And that's all I got for right now. I will come back with the writing part 2. Anyways, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. I shall be back. Bye.